come. So, but anyway, we were just going to have just a relaxed conversation, discussion, talk, back and forth, feedback, that kind of thing. It's not going to be all that serious, you know, and things like that. Just whatever we feel comfortable with, kind of thing.
Sean, were you on campus earlier today? Oh, you were?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
anyway.
I still think I'm going to take my leave.
All right then. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, brother. Nice to meet you. You come back again. Yes, come back again. Yes. So anyway, I just thought we just talked, and I just thankful that you agreed to come and the kind of thing you're doing. And so we're here at the Wesley. The Wesley Center is a place where students can come and they're able, many of them away from home, some for the first time, freshmen, and it's a good way for them to continue to pray and stay connected with their faith. And so that's the purpose of the Wesley Center, is for that. It is supported and sponsored by many volunteers. Different denominations support us and provide funding for our activities and programs and things like that. So we're just happy to have you. So tell me about how, are you an organization, a non-profit organization or something like that?
Well, no, I'm an independent preacher.
Okay.
I've been preaching on university campuses since 1982.
Okay. And your name?
James Gilles.
James Gilles?
Gilles, brother Jim.
Okay.
And Larry Street.
Larry Street?
James Johnson.
James Johnson. And you're local here. You live here in
He lives in the area, yes.
in the local area, and you live
I'm from Evansville, Indiana.
out of the state. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
where I was born and raised.
Well, very good. Well, tell me how about street preaching and maybe how this whole method started, and then maybe your specific involvement in
Sure.
street preaching.
I've been on 334 universities and colleges in 49 states, 6
Yes.
countries. I was introduced to this from a man named Jed Smock from Terre Haute, Indiana. He was Terre Haute's first hippie in the 60s.
Huh.
And he had his master's degree in U.S. history and taught at Vallejo Junior College in California
Yes.
during the Haight Ashbury radical scene.
Yes. Yes.
And he'd go down to the Haight and down the Sprawl Hall at Berkeley.
Yes.
And he saw a preacher named Hubert Lindsay. They called him Holy Hubert Lindsay or Red Lindsay. And he was actually on Governor Reagan's hotline list. And Governor Reagan would call him out to go preach to the rioting throngs of students to divert their attention from rioting to the gospel.
Yes. Yes.
And so he paid dearly for it. He was blind before he died. He was blind 2 or 3 times, and God healed him twice. And then the 3rd time I met him, he's still blind.
Yes.
His wife received a brick in the head by the Black Panthers,
Oh my God.
and she was mentally
This was at Berkeley
at Berkeley.
because the Black Panthers had began in Oakland, California,
Right.
right there in the Bay Area. We have Oakland, San Francisco, and Berkeley all together.
Yeah, he was beat up by the Manson family, the Hells
Okay.
Angels, and the Rubio Savio and that bunch,
Okay.
and the whole radical group. And so he'd go out there and preach. And Jed Smock, when he was a hippie before his conversion, saw Hubert preaching there.
Yes.
And somehow he ended up back in Indiana, Jed did, and he ran into an old classmate of his who was an Assemblies of God pastor who led him to the Lord. He got saved.
Yes.
He was praying about what he should do, and the Lord brought to his mind Hubert Lindsay preaching at Berkeley. And so Jed was a professor.
So he left the denomination of Assemblies of God.
No, he joined the Assemblies.
He
actually.
joined the Assemblies.
Yeah.
Okay.
His old classmate was an Assemblies of God preacher
I
who's
see.
gotten saved.
I see.
And Jed taught at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse, U.S. history, and so Jed's father was the dean of English department at Indiana State University.
Yes.
So he was in the collegiate world. So he started preaching on campus. He'd also looked up another professor at Indiana State named Max Lynch, who was a math professor and also biology professor on the campus, and they started preaching together in different places. And so Jed came to Evansville, Indiana, my old home church, and started preaching, and God spoke to me to hook up with him and go out and start preaching.
Well, excellent, excellent.
So that's how I started.
Well, very good, very good. Mr. Street, how did you become connected with this particular type of ministry?
Yes, sir. I basically am more of a street preacher than a campus preacher. I do a lot of open air events. We annually go to Mardi Gras and largely the top 5 largest gay pride parades and preach the gospel. And my first introduction to the effectiveness of open air preaching was at...
The idea is to engage people, to provoke people to thought, and
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jesus said in the Revelation
yes.
that you have to do something because it's a busy world.
Yes.
The wonderful Psalm 23 says, He leads me beside the still waters and restores my soul. Most of our life, particularly at events in colleges, their lives are like a rushing mighty stream.
Yes.
It's just rushing.
Yes.
Well, if He can slow us down just long enough to make us look over to that still small